So it's come to the time now where I'm going to open up and dive into my psychosis. Some of you might have heard about it on the Water Lad podcast. I opened up about it the first time publicly to anybody. You know, my family and my close friends, my partner, have been dealing with my recovery and me coming back from my psychosis for the last couple of years, and it's been hard, it's been tough. So I'm really going to dive into things now and really open up about the psychosis. I think for now I'm just going to open up about the experience of the psychosis and what I went through, the different themes that were in the psychosis, the different feelings of euphoria and absolute hell, you know, and really dive into where my mind was and where I was going, what I was doing during my psychosis, and the days leading up to the psychosis are important as well. So yeah, I'm really going to open up about it and just speak from the heart. Like I said, just tell the truth, and me sharing a little bit of the psychosis stuff. Man, I got so many DMs back from people that have actually suffered from psychosis and what they're going through. So I'm just happy to be sharing and happy that it's actually helping people to get through it. And so people that are around others that are suffering psychosis have actually messaged through too to ask for opinions or help on how they can help their loved ones. You know, and there's no cookie cutter answers because everyone goes through things differently. There's different types of psychosis. There's you know, there's bipolar 1, bipolar 2, and chemicals that are making your brain react to things and can set you off on those paths. There's people that, you know, go in and out of psychosis, who have mini psychosis, who will have a break and have nothing happen, then all of a sudden go into another psychosis again. But there's people that suffer a one-off psychosis, like I did. And, you know, they can be drug induced, they can be stress induced. There's a part in our DNA that can be unlocked by trauma that can manufacture, yes, the psychosis. But really, I think the main part about the struggles that I went through were actually the care that I was in, and then the failure in the system when it was time to transfer me over to treatment back home. So I'm going to dive into a bit of that as well. Yeah, get ready for this part because I'm ready to share again. So it's funny because it's hard to know where to start from when you're speaking about a psychosis. Do I start all the way back from birth? Do I start from last year? Do I start from the trauma that I went through? Do I start from the start of my rugby journey? Do I start from the transition from going from rugby to not rugby? You know, from having injuries to not? Where do I go from? Where do I start? And I think just for now, I'll start from where things started to get bad. So things started to get really bad for me when I transitioned from rugby. You know, I'd lost rugby and I'd also suffered injury. So we know all about the injury and identity of being an athlete and all that. But my injury is what took me away from my main identity, which was I'm an athlete, and that's who I identify as, you know, for life. And you know, I haven't been able to do the things that I used to be able to do, and it was happening a little bit later in my rugby career when I turned 28. I started to suffer these Achilles tendonitis, which then turned into tendinopathy, which now is still there. I can't sprint, can't accelerate, can't do anything athletic. I can pump tin, I can lift weights, I can push myself mentally in those spaces. I can jump on the rower for a bit, but that still, you know, aggravates and hurts it. So I really need the surgery to get done, but I'll start from there and then we'll progress into the story of the psychosis. So yeah, I've obviously finished rugby and all that, and things started to go south for me. You know, my identity was getting lost. I was in a relationship that, when rugby ended, my relationship also ended, along with losing my first son. Speak about dealing with grief. I didn't realise the grief that you go through losing somebody that you helped give life to. For whatever reasons, I don't have to get into the reasons, but these are just the facts I'm going to go through. So loss of son, loss of relationship, loss of career, loss of identity, that all happened at the same time. Loss of job, loss of income. So all of those things were going good, humming. A couple of them were falling down, you know, no athleticism, no running, but I was still in the teams, so it was okay. I was still making a living, it was okay. I had my relationship, that was okay. And then bang, everything fell down. And that's when it was boom, crunch time. What am I? Who am I? What am I doing? So that was thrust upon me. And then, you know, you go through things, you go through life, and you got to move on. I jump into another relationship, have another child. Same things are happening again, the themes are happening again, and bang, it happens again. Everything falls over. Loss of child again. Never really found my identity as a worker person. What's my What's my value in the workspaces? How do I make money? How do I provide for the people around me? Never found that as well. So I've lost all of that. Lost my rugby, lost relationship, lost 2 children, bad father, not there for my kids. And these are the things that society is putting on you. These are the things that people speak of and talk about, and these are the things you're feeling as a father and as a person going through this stuff. And you sit down and you think, fuck, how can I prove myself? So I started to think, fuck, I can't be a teacher aide forever. So the money that I was making from teacher aiding, because they were basing my child support off being a rugby player, all the pay that I was getting for teacher aiding was all straight away go in my bank, and then out the other, I couldn't pay bills, and I wasn't asking from my mate. He was like buying me lunch and shit, and all that kind of stuff. It's terrible. Then as a man, you just feel like, what am I doing? I just can't even provide. And I've had a lot of jobs in my lifetime, a lot of jobs. I'd say I've had over 60 jobs outside of rugby, because I've been in and out of the rugby, but I've never really, a couple of years I was fully professional rugby player, and for the rest of them I was just going to work, doing what I had to do to get to the contract at the end of the year, get the Mitre 10 contract, happy days. And so many jobs that are just labour jobs, that are just jobs you turn up to and you work and slog hard at. Just the things that I'm good at is working hard. And the thing that I've realised is you don't have to work hard to get money. It's work smarter, not harder. So you work at the things that you're good at. You progress and get the tickets you need to get to the places you need to get to provide for yourself, to provide for your family, to feel yourself as a man, to fill those societal needs that everyone needs to stand up and go, I'm a person. But yeah, I'm getting off track here. So back to the psychosis stuff. So all of that stuff's happening, right? Life's not going good, and I meet another woman. So I'm in another relationship now, and I'm already getting pounded by this other 2 relationships that have failed, and 2 sons that I'm not there for. You chuck all this other shit on top of it, and it's like, man, deal with that. So I decided to, and I need to do something. Okay, firefighter. I'm going to be a firefighter. I'm going to do all the things I need to do to get into firefighting, and I'm going to do that, and this is going to be good for me and my identity. I heard they train a lot. They train together as a team, sort of like being a rugby player. I'm going to get into it. I'm going to do this firefighting. I'm going to be the man. I'm going to have a career. People are going to ask me what I do. I'm a firefighter, bro. Sweet as. All good. So I turn up, I do all the things online you got to do, all the tests, all the aptitude tests, and get through, all of that stuff. Then get to the in-person aptitude test, and it's pretty ruthless, bro. You turn up, I think there was 30 of us, and we sit down for, I think it's like 40 minutes or something, sit down and do this test, and general knowledge, mathematics, all that kind of shit. You sit down in a room, do the test, and then they name all of those guys. They say, see you later to those guys. You guys are coming with us for the physical stuff. So sort of like rugby, but I was used to it. So I got through that part. I'm getting out to the physical testing. Thumbs up, tick, running with the hose and everything, and step ups and pulling the thing down and climbing up the ladder, looking over the shoulders up high, 10-15 meter heights. Everything's sweet, A-OK, done everything good. Then it gets to the test, the real test, which is the mental stuff. And I'm putting all the firefighting kit on and the gear on, and I'm putting on the masks, I'm putting on the suits, everything, and it's really hot, and it's time to get into confined space stuff, blindfolded, all of that. You can't breathe, hot air. Not a good situation for some people like me who don't like small spaces and not being able to breathe, asthmatic and everything. And that's where they find out if you've got the mental aptitude to do the job. I'm starting to feel funny. I've got the stuff on, I'm feeling funny, and I go to get into the little hole that you go through, and can't do it. Pull out. Sweet as. I'm just like, fuck, nah, I can't do this. I can't do it. I can't put myself in that hole. Walking away, and one of the firefighting fellas comes up, and he sprints up to me, and he's like, bro, fuck, bro, I'm gutted. My colleagues didn't get you to go in there. Fuck, bro, we need people like you in the firefighting force. Like, we need people like you. Fuck, what if I said strap up, suit up again, we'll go back in there and we'll get it done. What if I said that? And then, he sort of amped me up, and I was like, fuck, yeah, bro, fuck, let's do it. I'm going to do it now. Yeah, let's really do it. And, put all the stuff on again. Same feelings cropped up, same things cropped up, anxiety, heart's pounding. Fuck, I want to hop in the small space, but I fucking hop in. And I hop in, and I think what happened, I was going through trauma. I was getting traumatized, and small spaces, can't breathe, all that, being an asthmatic growing up, and I can't breathe, and I'm listening to all the things that they're saying to me, move that way, hold the rope, go across here, do this, and you're blindfolded listening to instructions, but I think I'm doing them really slow. I thought I was moving fast, but I'm moving really slowly and not doing it properly. In just absolute fear state. Then they get me to hop out and take the mask off and everything, and then it's they show me what I went through, and it wasn't, I seen photos of what I was doing, and blindfolded, and the small spaces I thought I was in weren't even small, but they showed that to me, and they sent me on my way, packed my bag. That wasn't what you should have been doing, and it wasn't. Left there, fuck, I was pretty emotional. Just like, holy shit, I thought that was my ticket out of being unsuccessful. I thought that was my ticket out of being a piece of shit. And I thought, shit, man, oh, fuck. No, and I think I punched my car door, and I was, kicking I drove off, and I was like, oh, fuck, and I was, crying. It's like, oh, man. And so I just felt, after that, I felt defeated. And, I opened up to a few people about, I was going to be a firefighter, do the firefighting stuff, and they were pretty harsh on me. Saying, what are you going to do there? Oh, you can't do that, you can't be a firefighter, and all this kind of stuff. So it just made me feel even more shit, and then I was living at home, being a teacher aide, not getting any money, looked at like a piece of shit for failed relationships and failed fatherhood, from outside perspectives, and I was taking those external references and taking them as my own, instead of just carrying on with life. And then no money to pay for things, and man, it was just spiraling downward. And then that's when I found marijuana, where I found weed, and I smoked it. I never really smoked it. I smoked it when I was younger, and it just made me feel stoned and all that, and blazed, and just like, hungry, and a few funny things going on and whatnot. But when I first took it, and then it just relaxed me, and I felt, holy heck, this feels amazing for me. I'd have it like once a month or something, so I'd have it once a month. But when I'd have it, the first time I had it, I had it, and then I straight away I just had all this energy. So I had energy for like 2 weeks straight, where I was just waking up early in the morning, going to training, doing training in the gym, going to work, finish work, go to the gym, building a playhouse for my son. And I'll just be focused on that and doing all those things, and man, felt like I was humming. And I just thought, man, this weed stuff is really good. It's really the answer. Oh man, I need to do it more. So I started, doing it more. Started smoking it more, and it got to the point where I was actually waking up and smoking it. I wake up, smoke it, and I'd have it at lunchtime. I'd have it before the gym. I'd have it after the gym. I'd have it before dinner. Have it after dinner. And then it got to the point where I wanted it all the time. I never, because I had all these things going in my head, podcasts I've seen, just random things people say about marijuana and weed that just, now I'm looking back going, they're not true. Like they say you can't get addicted to it, and I was fully addicted to it. I wanted it all the time, and if I didn't have it, I'd get upset, get angry. I wanted it, and I wasn't hiding it either. I wasn't hiding it. I was just doing it and doing whatever. And then I felt really, I just turned into this character that nobody could even recognize. I was just this guy that was, I had out the gate haircuts. The way I dressed was out the gate. You would have sworn I was on crack if you had met me. You would have thought, man, what happened to Caleb? He's on something really bad. But I was just smoking marijuana, and that's what it done to me. It really, for some people, it makes them go down. For me, just picks me up and makes me get really escalated. Thoughts come in, then I start escalating on things, and it gives me boosts of energy. So when I needed energy, I felt like I needed to smoke some marijuana. Just, before the gym, smoke some marijuana, pump the gym real good. But then I also started having gaps in my memory, where I'd be talking to somebody about something, and then they'd be saying, can't you remember, we spoke about this like 2 weeks ago, we had a big argument about it, a conversation, and I'd be like, I couldn't remember these things. So I was having gaps in memory, and then I was, being a character, total character. Then I was watching all these TV shows like Peaky Blinders, Vikings. I'd go home and just love watching them. These funny cartoon programs that were just like programming my mind to what I was watching. It started to not be good for me. And then it got to the point where I just was, I was really sensitive and really I was really down about everything, about the way that people looked at me, how they judged me. I thought everyone was against me. I thought, living with my parents and my family, I thought they were judging me for smoking marijuana, and I just felt like everyone was coming at me, really. I just wanted out, I just wanted to go, just wanted to leave. And there was a time where, in the Christmas holidays, a couple of years ago, a few years ago, maybe after Christmas and New Year's, my missus lives up north, and I thought, man, I'm not going to be able to see my son here in Hamilton for a while. They're going away on holiday or whatever. you know, I might as well just go up there and you know, just smoke for days. So I just started smoking weed for, I think, 4 or 5 days straight. I was just, you know, in the room, watching TV, watching cartoons, watching TV programs, ones that weren't good for me. And then on top of that, I had all this trauma going on underneath. So all the funny stuff and all the things I thought were brilliant, there's also all the trauma that was coming out of me, and all the undealt bullshit was coming out. So that started to peek its ugly head. My brain started to go on overdrive about how I'm going to fix everything, how I'm going to fix rugby, how I'm going to fix my relationships with my kids, how I'm going to fix you know, plans of setting up rugby things for people so they don't have to have mental health or don't have to suffer the way that I suffered, and all that kind of stuff. The themes are just popping up in my head. Then one day I was walking around on the farm with my missus and her boy, and I just felt lightheaded. I remember feeling the lightheadedness, and I sort of went like that and caught myself before I fell over. And then I looked at my missus and she said, "Oh, well, you haven't slept in 3 or 4 days. You haven't really slept. You've just been up late and smoking weed." But I've got no recollection of that time. I just remember I was smoking weed, having a good time. Then I was on the farm on a hot day, and then I heard her say that. And then I was like, oh, damn. And then I remember the moment it sort of switched for me. I started, the thoughts started coming in really bad, and then I started smoking more weed. So everything was ramping up. And then I, have a break.